U7 presents. What is feedback? 10 things you absolutely should know. Number 1. The importance of the term. Feedback is perhaps the most important idea in modern science. We could not explain the way the world works without it. However, it is a tricky subject and very important that you get it right. You do not want to appear thinking that the world is ruled by simple cause-effect relationships. The term feedback has been around for more than a century. For instance, in electrical engineering, now we know gigantic vortices are product of feedback, positive and negative. Feedback acquired celebrity status in scientific world as the central idea behind the creation of cybernetics, the science of control and communications, of interconnectedness, and so too of purposeful and highly complex systems. Number 2. The everyday meaning. The trivial or everyday use of the word feedback is very misleading. It gets people into big trouble. Even the Web's dictionary insists that feedback is information about reactions to a product, a person's performance of a task, and so on. In everyday use, people talk about positive feedback as synonymous with saying something good or giving praise. The term negative feedback is linked to the idea of criticism, something someone did incorrectly. For instance, I got positive feedback about my show. People loved it. On the other hand, I gave Nancy negative feedback about her book. Now she hates me. These are misused technical terms. Number 3. The origin. The notion of feedback is such an important phenomena that it was adopted as the central concept of cybernetics during the Macy Foundation meetings of some of the most brilliant American scientists and European scientists after World War II in New York City. The idea began in electrical engineering, but during the Macy meeting, many scientists agreed that they had found feedback everywhere, in mathematics and biology and computer design, psychology, sociology, ecology, and other scientific disciplines. Feedback was clearly a universal phenomena. So, the cyberneticians perfected it and returned it to do its magic for many different endeavors. Number 4. The WIKI explanation. Wikipedia says feedback as a phenomena occurs when outputs of a system are routed back as inputs as part of a chain of cause-effect that forms a circuit or loop. The system can then be said to feed back into itself. Obviously, Wiki is describing a picture with many parts in it working together. In short, a system where feedback is observed to be present. The key idea is that feedback is about a circular process whose output or outcome at any given moment has been influenced by the feedback routed back to the input. Number 5. The cybernetic definition. So, what exactly is feedback? Feedback is information in the most general sense. Information literally means in, formation meaning injecting form as in transforming something. Ergo, feedback information by definition changes the output of the system. An opinion does not. Technically, negative feedback is a term used to correct the output towards a certain goal. It is good. This feedback depends on a valuable error signal. Positive feedback is not good or bad. It means feedback that accelerates what the system is doing. Most human systems have a positive feedback to dispense energy and negative feedback to provide control. Think of the accelerator and the brake pedals in a car. Number 6. How is feedback information generated? A simple diagram helps explain information feedback. We have a system with an input. The system processes the input and produces an output. Now, the system designer installs a comparator device. Now, the output is measured and compared to a goal. The difference, positive or negative, is considered an error. In a thermostat, information about the error or difference in room temperature versus the target temperature is then fed back to the input mechanically or by some signal or message. The input corrects itself to produce a new, better output, and so on. Number 7. Circular causality, an example. As you can see, this system or structure produces a loop called circular causality. Simple cause and effect are now irrelevant because the effect gets back to affect the cause, independently of human intervention. In a circular causality connection, corrections usually happen instantly. This discovery was the basis for automation, and surely the steam engine and the Industrial Revolution. A feedback control mechanism is called a servo mechanism. Watch Professor Stafford Beer explain the circular nature, in this case, of mechanical feedback.
The important thing to realize about systems is how they are controlled. And we must get rid of any notion straight away that control is something imposed on the system from outside. It has to be built into it. Now, you saw me operate this governor just now and noticed how the engine slowed down. Let's see how the mechanism works. Suppose the engine is racing, then the governor flies open like that. You see it lifting here, transmitting the message along here, lifting that cam up here, and then shutting off a valve there. That is built into the system. It's called feedback, and feedback is ubiquitous in control systems.
Eight. Circular causality, electronic or biological. Computers are the ultimate automated machines controlled by software. Complex algorithms compare an output to a goal and adjust accordingly. A modern example is a drone that processes thousands of instructions per second to guarantee stability. Our bodies have thousands of homeostats, that is, highly complex interconnected systems that adjust to each other's outputs continuously. Body temperature is set at 36.7 degrees centigrade. Is an example. Thirst, blood pressure, and muscle tension are other biological systems that are using feedback in the technical sense. Number 9. In the brain, hardwired or learned. A single neuron meets the complexity of the most modern computer. The brain is an extremely complex network of neural networks which are linked by hardwired circuits or by learned circuits. This feedback haven produces all the complex behaviors we need to survive. Hardwired feedback control connections are automatic responses such as the fight or flight flow of adrenaline. Soft-wired feedback neural net connections are learned behaviors such as being polite or catching a baseball. you can easily choose to override them. Number 10. Breeds social complexity. The clash of feedback mechanisms among individuals breeds unfathomable, complex social system. The law tries to cut down the variety of human behavior or by amplifying the controlled variety of police and judges. So, we find that the nation-state has many feedback-controlled structures, such as the separation of powers, though this happens by legal hardwiring. Stafford Beard tried to create an automatic feedback-controlled governmental economic system in Chile in 1971 to 1973. Here is his VSM model, full of controlled feedback loops. Finally, a word of warning about feedback. Society has paid a high price because technical feedback is ignored. The 2008 financial crisis is an example, and the COVID-19 virus pandemic is another. Positive feedback greed was extending faulty loans by the millions, yet the government and the bankers let it run until nature-driven limits stopped it with a crash. In the COVID-19 pandemic, the 15-day lag between getting infected and showing symptoms has resulted in a mortal trap for hundreds of thousands of people all over the world. Feedback lags are very dangerous. Real-time disease control is urgent. Opinions are good or bad, personal feedback, but they are not technical feedback. Making this distinction would be a wise thing to do. Thank you.